Welcome to the Biz Kidz Podcast, where young entrepreneurs rise, shine, and redefine what is possible. Ready to launch your business? Well, buckle up. We're about to launch. Welcome to the Biz Kidz Podcast. I'm JD Rabali, your host, and we're excited today to have another guest with us. Today we have Marshall Butler. He is a branding and sales expert, and he's been in the Rotary for a number of years, and that's how we met, doing good work in the community. As we always like to start, Marshall, is we ask our guests to give their 60-second pitch, because we believe that all kids need to know their 60-second pitch if they're trying to sell something. So tell us in 60 seconds who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So great to be here today. My name is Marshall Butler in Jacksonville, Florida. I guess if you were to describe me, I'm a guy that is always looking for ways to do things a little bit differently. Started my career out in advertising, shifted into marketing and technology. And every position that I've taken on, I've always looked for a way to do things a little bit differently, to make it a little bit better and to look for new ways to achieve great results. So from my professional career, transition into the career I have now in Rotary International, doing the same thing. How can we make clubs better, districts better? How can we grow Rotary International globally to do more good in the world? So using technology, using marketing and creativity, how can we do things a little bit better than we have done in the past? And that's pretty much my career professionally and now in Rotary.
Awesome. Now, we always like to go back to your childhood, and this is not a therapy session, but we go back to your childhood. We look at, like, when you were a kid, did you have, like, that entrepreneur spirit? Did you want to start a business or, try to make money?
I did. I grew up in a small business. My dad owned a dry cleaners, and in a small business, if you don't do it, sometimes it doesn't get done. So there is no job beneath anybody in that kind of scenario. Everyone is responsible for making the business successful. And so Dad taught me at a very young age how important it was to work hard, provide for your family, and provide for your customers, provide value. I remember one of my first entrepreneurial endeavors was a popcorn stand, lemonade stand in front of the cleaners. And, customers would come in. I was stationed in front. Mom helped me make the lemonade and the popcorn. We made the popcorn a little extra salty so we could sell more lemonade. But I tell you, having a little bit of money in my pocket, especially the kind that folds, was pretty cool for a young kid. And I think that was absolutely one of the first experiences I had in starting my own business and, trying to make it grow and develop it.
Awesome. Did you work with your dad in the business at one point? Did you do all the jobs as well?
Oh yeah. I mean, I started out, I remember when I was 5 years old, we would make hangers. You would have to bend the hangers and put little covers on them. I was doing that when I was 5. I'd make a penny a hanger. And then into high school, worked at the cleaners after work or after school, and, worked there until I went off to college. And it was a great experience. And it was a great way to meet our community too. Dad was known in the community. He was always trying to help others in the community. And it helped me network in the future professionally, because I met so many great people working with my dad at the dry cleaners.
I love the fact that you got a penny per hanger. I had
labor laws, man.
Exactly. I had a lawn care company as my kids were growing up, and my daughter would come and work in the truck with me when she didn't have school. And so I would pay her 25 cents for every invoice that she would go put on the door. So I would be doing the work and she would get the invoices together. And then she would take a napkin in the truck and she would write not just like a check mark, but she would write 25 cents every time she did it. So she that's how she kept track of how she was going to get paid at the end of the day. And then as an adult, she got a little tattoo on her arm that says 25 cents to remind her of those times working with her dad. So
that's cool.
So, yeah. So as you kind of progressed and were working with Dad in the business, as you got into your teen years, high school, did you have other business ideas other than popcorn and lemonade?
I did work with a buddy. We had a lawn care business for a while and did pretty well. And, it was great because it was very convenient and we could schedule as we liked. And then, I always had, just this creative bent. And so just trying to think of ways to use this creativity. And that's kind of what I did when I went into college. I was a radio DJ for a while, learned how to do some AV production and stuff like that. That was a great skill that I continue to use today. and went into advertising and started copywriting and writing commercials. Started out writing commercials for Winn-Dixie, First Union Bank, other businesses that are probably pretty recognizable. And then, right into my career into marketing.
So tell me about the experience of writing ads for a grocery store. Like, how did that start? Like, how did you get into that
So
gig?
I, again, just through networking, had a friend who knew some folks at the advertising agency, probably one of the biggest agencies here in Jacksonville at the time. It was the William Cook Agency, a large southeastern regional advertising agency, and writing commercials was fun. I remember my first creative director. He told me, he said, you're really only good for one good idea a day. Once you're done, you might as well go home because it's hard to, some of these ideas, it's just kind of hard to have multiple in a single day. And that was always the joke with Roger is, hey, this was my idea for the day, but man, I could learn how to turn, low cost leader and the beef people. And it was, there's probably some ads that I wrote that they didn't make it to publication. They were more, I guess they were more aligned for a Saturday Night Live skit than they were really for the real world. But it was great because I had a lot of great people kind of helping mentor me and teach me some professional skills and also help me hone my craft in terms of creativity.
I'm jealous because I've always wanted to like write commercials. I've just never had the opportunity. I run a little marketing agency where I do magazine ads and stuff like that, but it's boring. I want to do something in the TV space. I thought that would be so cool.
It was
When
fun. Yeah, right. Creating commercials, going on shoots, learning how great it. I mean, and watching the food stylist, paint the beef to make it look pretty on camera. It was, a lot of really cool stuff behind the scenes.
when we watch the Super Bowl, I'm not a football guy, so I watch it just for the commercials. So I've been disappointed the last few years that like the commercial level has really dropped from the creativity that they used to have back in the '90s, and so I'm a little disappointed with that. But I'm always looking at commercials and saying, okay, how could I do this? Or I have some ideas. I'm always tell my wife, well, I would do it this way. I would do it that way. So. So tell us about your career now. So you're in kind of branding, sales. You got into the tech business now, using technology to promote business. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So I'm the marketing director for a training company. We train people around the world how to use Microsoft products like Power BI, Power Automate, Azure Fabric, stuff like that. And, we're constantly looking for ways to, again, there's so much noise in the world. How do we create something that is going to break through the noise and create engagement or get someone's attention? And I mean, today, honestly, we use a lot of AI. AI has allowed us to amplify. We can have great ideas now. We're a very small team. AI helps us essentially magnify the impact of our team to create, music, video, write copy. It's a good thing I'm not a copywriter anymore because AI would have taken my job. But it's always how do we use technology to do things a little bit better. We do a lot of live streaming. We have a YouTube channel with over 300,000 subscribers, a loyal following. And branding is very important for us. We have a brand with our company called Learn with the Nerds. And everyone loves Learn with the Nerds. It's iconic in that, you say it, people kind of smile, but that's what you're doing. We have very talented people that know how to educate, how to teach. And we're self-admittedly and proudly, we call ourselves nerds because that's what we are.
That's awesome. Now, when you were back in college, I think you said you started an Interact club. So, for those of our listeners that aren't familiar with Rotary and Interact, why don't you explain what Interact is and how that kind of helped you develop your skills and your professional skills as you were growing up?
Yeah, Interact is it's an organization, it's a club for young adults in high school, and it's a civic organization. And when I transferred into this high school, and there had been an Interact club there, but it had dissolved and disbanded, and what didn't exist anymore. And I took it on myself. I thought, man, I'd come from a school that had a similar club, wasn't an Interact club, but it was very similar. And I wanted that same experience at this new high school. And so I found a sponsor and said, hey, I would like to reconstitute this club. And I guess that was some of the early leadership skills. I was able to form a group of 15 young men that wanted to put together the service organization, and we brought Interact back to this high school, and it was a great experience. Leadership, leading meetings, working with young people, thinking of ways that we could help our community. And I think, again, it goes back to a lot of what my mom and my dad taught me back in the day. It's service above self. That's one of the credos of Rotary. It's how can we help others? We're all very blessed. How can we share those blessings with other people and help our communities?
And I love that about Rotary. I've only been in Rotary for a year, and so that's kind of one of the things that attracted me is like the fact that they look for projects that can help their community, helping them advance. And it's the business community coming around and doing that. Coming into the community and saying, "Hey, we see a need that needs to be filled, and we'll do it." And so they just take care of it instead of trying to find somebody else to do it. They just do it. They get out there and then they work for it. So.
And
that's awesome.
you bring in your passion for youth, you bring that to Rotary. Rotary is really a catalyst. We have so many different areas of focus. People can bring their passion to Rotary, use Rotary as a catalyst, and do even greater things using the resources of Rotary, using the resources of our foundation, and like you said, the network of business professionals that share values of integrity and honor and good work.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to young people that are looking to get into business and they want to do that marketing side hustle or anything like that? What would you tell them to do?
I've spoken to a number of young groups of young people and career days and stuff like that, and they ask me, what's your most important advice? And I think the most important thing is to care about what you're doing, to really internalize what you've been asked to do, and to do it to the best of your ability, and to really have empathy for your audience, your customer, and to really do everything you can to provide value and to make them happy. So many people nowadays, they look at jobs, they look at business and professions as just it's a paycheck. Maybe they're looking to punch the clock. But when you bring that passion, and when you also combine that passion with caring for your audience and caring for others and caring about your company and wanting to make your company better, I think that's the most important thing. It's a soft skill, but I think if you care about what you're doing, you're going to do really well, because it's that fire inside of you that's going to really allow you to excel.
Now, working with technology, do you find that maybe the newer, younger generation is kind of focused more on just standing behind a computer instead of getting out there and building relationships or shaking hands? Where do you see that as like kind of as a soft skill? Like as we were growing up, you had to get out and network, and we didn't have technology and AI to connect with us. Do you see that as a detriment? Like, people losing those relationships because they're behind a computer all day?
I think it's a balance. I think technology is a wonderful thing. It allows us to do really great things and to do more of them. But at the same time, there is a human element. People want to have relationships with other people. Networking is so important. Having a conversation with someone, looking them in the eye, shaking their hand, that is still, it's so important. Here's a proud moment on my part. Bringing my daughters up through Rotary, they got dragged along to lots of Rotary events, and here's young kids, preteen, teenagers going to Rotary events with older folks. But it developed these skills in my daughters that now, as young ladies in their early 20s, they can go to a networking event. They can look someone in the eye, have an adult conversation, shake someone's hand. They're not cowered in a corner, looking at a small screen, texting. They know how to have adult conversations. They know how to interact and network. And I think that, yes, technology is fantastic, but at the same time, the ability to engage and communicate with other human beings is still a pretty powerful skill to have.
Yeah. When I would go back to my lawn care days, we used to do home shows. And so my daughter, again, would work with me at the home shows and work in the booth. And she hated working in the booth and like talking to people and stuff like that. But she did learn how to work all the other vendors at the events, because we're there for 6-7 hours a day while we're doing these shows. And she would go around and make friends with all these vendors. And at the end of the show, they were giving her all kinds of free stuff that they didn't want to take home. So she learned those skills as like, hey, I built relationships. One of the vendors that were there had a $300 curling iron as their demo, and they said, here, thanks for helping us, because they used her as their model. And they said, you can have their curling iron. So I think it's great for kids to get out there and sometimes they're going to be uncomfortable, and it's part of the process. But once they kind of break through that uncomfort, they can really start shining. And as an adult now, she doesn't have any problem working a room, talking to people, same good soft skills.
That's right. You know, when I was the district governor for Northeast Florida for Rotary, I went around and visited all the clubs, and I had a presentation, a speech that I gave. A lot of them, I brought my oldest daughter Emily along with me during the summer months when she was out of school, and put her in front of these clubs and had her share an experience of a project she had done with Rotary, and yeah, develop those public speaking skills for her. So yeah, I mean that's another one is being confident speaking in front of a group of people. If you can do that, you're going to be successful because that's what you're going to have to be able to do to pitch your product, to sell yourself, to sell folks why they want to work with you. Is that confidence when you're speaking in public.
As our young people are now, it's like starting to get into business, and as they're developing through that process, and they have a business. What advice would you say about like getting involved in a Rotary group or a networking group for these people at the beginning? Because you've been in it for 23 years. Obviously, you found some value out of it that either helped you professionally, personally. What would you say to kids that like, hey, definitely look to get involved in your community?
You know, when I started, I was in my early 30s, and I was one of the youngest members of our club. I would go to club meetings, and I would sit at what we called the geezer table. It was a lot of the older members in the club, but I tell you what, those folks, they had a lifetime of experience to share with me. And you know, we had former CEOs, we had guys that had been. We had one gentleman that had been a part of Pearl Harbor. I mean, I just sat there as a young man and listened to their stories and listened to their advice. And, you know, occasionally I would speak up, and it was really a two-way street. You know, they were kind of providing me with some of their life advice. And then I was the young guy. I was sharing some of the things that I was doing and telling them, you know, the sorts of technology and things that were being used in the world today. So I think, you know, being able to work in a club, multi-generational, to understand and learn from others, and then that networking component to find the folks in your community that are really movers and shakers. When you're in Rotary, you're a part of a group of people that really make a difference in your community, and to have that network of people that can, if you know, maybe you're looking for a new opportunity, a new job, you've got friends in that club that can help you with that networking. So it was great from an advice perspective and a mentoring and personal growth, but it was also great from a networking perspective as well. Plus, you know, you're demonstrating to a potential employer that you do care about your community. You want to make a difference in the world. You have that you know, that interest in helping others, which I think is a pretty good thing for an employer to see in a person.
Now, your girls, did they follow in your footsteps of marketing, or where did they end up going? Which direction?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, the oldest did not, that apple did not fall far from the tree. She graduated with a degree in marketing. She is now in marketing. She joined Rotary 4 months ago. She joined my Rotary Club, and she is now a part of the public image team. So she helps market our club. She also, I took her to a conference that I had to do one time. She worked the booth and learned how to speak to others. So a very similar experience there. And the youngest, you know, she's got a heart for service, not quite going into marketing, but she's in school right now and you know, working on a different path. But, you know, both of them are very creative. And I love that too, because I think creativity in a world of, you know, of a lot of the same kind of stuff, being able to like I said earlier, break through the noise and come up with new ideas that break through that noise. It's very important.
So, at the last event that I saw you at, you talked about your running career and
Yeah.
how you're running every street in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. Why are you doing this running project where you're trying to hit every street in Jacksonville?
Yeah, sure. So, for those that may not know, in the continental United States, the contiguous 48 states, Jacksonville is the largest city in terms of land mass. It's 840 square miles. There are 14,580 streets. Born and raised here in Jacksonville, love this city, but I realized I didn't really know it as well as I would like. And so I started a project about 7 years ago to run all of these streets. There's about 5,000 or 6,000 miles of road in Jacksonville. And as I said, earlier, people take the same paths to work, to school, to shop. You take these same roads over and over again. But when it's 2, 3 streets behind there, you go into these neighborhoods, deep into the neighborhood, you kind of see how other people live. You see how other people, live their lives, what is going on in your city that you may not have known. I mean, you find unexpected things that you didn't know existed in your city. And it really helped me have an empathy for my city as a whole, because, I like to use the term be curious, not judgmental. We have certain preconceived notions about certain parts of town. When you really go into these parts of town, you understand that they're really not too different from us. There's just different things going on in those parts of town. And so I think it has helped me understand the needs of my community, how to better serve my community and help others, and just have empathy for folks, because we're all essentially just trying to survive. We're living our lives. It's just, doing it in somewhat different ways, but really has created that empathy for me for my city.
And how many miles a day do you average?
So I'm right now. It's summer in Florida, so it's hot. I'm running about 6 miles when I go out, running 3 or 4 times a week. In the winter months, I might run a little bit more. I ran 5 miles this morning, picked up 8 new streets. So I'm at 85.2% right now, but who's counting? So 14.8% to go. Trying to push this out in the next 12 months to finish this project up, and hopefully have a big party at the end.
And Jacksonville is a pretty big city, so even driving to the areas that you haven't done can take anywhere from half hour, 45 minutes to get there, and then another half hour and 45 minutes to get back. And
yeah, I have an Instagram channel, Every Street Duval, and yesterday on my channel, I actually explained that on my way to driving to one of the runs I was doing. I live pretty much right in the middle of Jacksonville. It's an older neighborhood called Riverside Avondale, and it really has allowed me to do this project because I'm in the center. Everything is about 25, 30 minutes each way. So if I lived in the northernmost part of town, it would be hard to do this project because getting to the south would be difficult. So living right here in the middle, it's always a 20 to 25-minute drive to wherever I need to be. I leave my house about 4:45 in the morning. I like to run early to get it over with. Plus, there's less people out in the morning. I don't want to have any sort of interaction with people because some people are not as nice as others. And so I'm just trying to get this done. But usually I'm done by 6 a.m., 6 or 6:30. And so it's a pretty difficult project from a logistics perspective because it is so massive.
Well, after we heard you talk, my wife and I were talking about this on the way home, and we live in a little Ave Maria. We only have 11,000 people that live in town. And I said, hey, I'm going to run every street in Ave Maria. I could probably do it in two days. So I'm like, hey, I could put that on my resume that I ran the whole city.
That's awesome. I've given that talk a couple of times to a couple of Rotary groups, and there are a number of folks now that, as a result of that talk, they said, hey, I really want to know my community. I want to know it on a micro level. And I'm seeing a lot of folks that I've spoken to doing this project, and it's a global phenomenon. The number one guy in the world that is doing Every Street lives in Berlin, Germany, and he has run 20, 30,000 streets. And again, I run a lot of why I run is mental clarity. I believe that you got to keep the body moving. You got to kind of clean out I call it the sludge in your brain. Moving blood and getting moving in the morning helps me clear my thoughts, prepare for the day. It helps me with my creativity and my productivity. I believe that we got to stay moving, and so running is a big part of that.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate you, Marshall, taking the time to talk to our kids today and to us as entrepreneurs and letting us know what you're working on. If you want to get your kids involved with the Biz Kidz, you can find us at bizkidsusa.org. We have programs that help inspire kids to actually get out there, try business, try marketing, and try to sell their products. So thanks again. Thanks again, Marshall, for being here. Thanks for sharing about the Rotary story, and we will see you next time on the Biz Kidz Podcast.